Hello, my name is John, and welcome to our third Mvndicraft Dev Diary. In the last video we talked about the long-term direction of the server and what it means to move away from the resets. This time, we want to focus on what that decision requires in practice, in particular when it comes to roleplay, conflict, and how players interact with the world over time. One of the main areas we've been looking at is roleplay itself. A persistent world only works if interactions feel meaningful and consistent. Because of that, roleplay rules will be enforced more clearly and more consistently going forward. This is not just about stricter moderation, but also making sure that the outcome depends on the rules rather than on who's present at a given moment. This also ties into internal changes. We are reorganizing staff responsibilities and moderation structures to address concerns that have been raised. The goal is to improve transparency and reduce any perception of bias and arbitrary decision making. A long-term server cannot function if players do not trust the system behind it. Another issue we have identified is how changes are introduced. Up to now, balance adjustments have often been reactive. Moving forward, we want to shift toward structured testing. New mechanics along with nerfs and buffs will go through testing phases before being implemented on the main world. This will allow us to gather data and refine systems in a controlled way. We also want to involve the community more directly in this process. Access to these testing phases will be treated as a privilege, with patrons given the opportunity to participate and provide input. This is not just about balance, but about ensuring that new systems are introduced with stability in mind. When it comes to activity across the week, we have noticed that engagement tends to concentrate around specific moments, while the rest of the week feels slower. We want to address that by reworking how raiding and conflict operate. This includes the addition of deployable siege ladders, which will allow for more flexible and immediate engagements. The intention is to make smaller scale conflict viable without requiring large scale scheduled operations. At the same time, we are exploring more structured forms of warfare, including proper pitched battles where nations can formally participate. These would exist alongside organic conflict, not replace it, and would provide a more organized framework for large scale engagements. The object is to make conflict present at different levels throughout the week. As a part of this, we're also revisiting how progression ties into combat itself. We are experimenting with a system where kills can reward both attribute experience and a portion of the defeated player's money. However, this is being designed carefully to avoid abuse. Experience will only be granted when both players actively participate in the fight, and repeated kills on the same player will not be a viable way to form progression. Actions against allies, town members, or similar groups will not provide rewards. We are also looking at scaling rewards based on the level or prestige of the opponent. The idea is to make higher risk engagements more meaningful, rather than encouraging players to target weaker opponents. During raids and wars, these systems will behave differently. Restrictions will be loosened and rewards may be increased to reflect the higher stakes of organized conflict. We are also considering allowing siege weapons to count towards these systems in those contexts, so that large-scale warfare feels fully integrated rather than separate from progression. Another area that has not received enough attention is equipment balance. Some weapon categories and armor types have fallen out of use because they lack clear advantages. We are going to rebalance these systems to ensure that each category has a distinct role depending on the situation. The goal is not to create a single optimal setup, but to encourage variety and meaningful choices in combat. Regarding skill progression, we're also exploring ways to make long-term investment feel more flexible. One of the ideas being tested is allowing players who have fully completed a profession to convert their excess profession points into attribute levels at a cost. This would only apply once a profession tree has been fully completed and would give additional value to continued investment without forcing players into a single path. We're also looking at how towns themselves are evaluated and rewarded. At the moment, resource generation does not always reflect the effort put into building and maintaining a settlement. To address this, we're planning to tie townie resources to a build rating system. Towns would only begin generating resources once they have been evaluated, and the amount they receive would depend on the quality and development of the settlement. This is meant to encourage construction that aligns with the server's aesthetic and roleplay standards, while also giving a clearer purpose to developing a town beyond simple expansion. Beyond mechanics, we are also focusing on shared experiences. A long-term server cannot rely on the progression systems alone. It also needs events and moments that bring players together. We are planning to introduce more community-driven events, one example being a pilgrimage system, where players travel across the map with a shared objective. These kinds of events are meant to create interaction, movement, and temporary alignment between different groups. We also want to expand community-driven initiatives more broadly, allowing players to take more active role in shaping the world rather than relying entirely on developer-led content. At the same time, we are revisiting the visual side of the server. As the world has grown, its aesthetic has become less consistent. We are reworking older assets to bring them into a more unified visual style. This is not about replacing what already exists, but about making the world feel coherent as it continues to develop over time.